we have one of our low-key guests who just has no enthusiasm, and I'm completely kidding. Evan Mittman is someone who I met, I don't even know how many years ago. I won't date us completely, but when I met Evan, he had a decent sized belt company. And they had a couple licenses. And then, as I watched over the years, they picked up more and more licenses like Calvin Klein and Donna Karan and Michael Kors and Vince Camuto and a few other small names that we all know and love. And then they started to add other categories into the mix and grew a behemoth company that was acquired by Li and Fung. And Li and Fung is what we know as the Centric Group today, but it's really one of the leading, I guess, sourcing, licensing companies in the accessory world. And, Evan spent a number of years at the helm of that division there. And in fact, I know that one of the divisions that he brought to that company is an amazing performer. What they're doing with some of the belts and cold weather is still today foundation of what's happening over there in their accessory business. But I think more important to note about Evan is that he's done it all with a handicap. At age 19, he started to lose his vision. And despite that, has found ways to thrive, survive, be successful, never once complaining, using as an excuse. And in fact, Evan is, he may be bold about some things, but he doesn't talk about all that he's done philanthropically. And I'm going to add this in because you didn't add it into your bio. He really has been active in the foundation fighting blindness. I know firsthand that he spearheaded the New York chapter, raising, I can't even imagine how much money you probably fill that bank in for research and trying to help find a cure for the retinal disease that, has so negatively affected so many lives. And I know our industry supported you. So Evan, do you want to maybe just expand on your background a little bit, and then we can dive into some of the questions. For everyone, if you can just leave yourself on mute, that would be great. And then when we get done, there'll be a chance to ask questions. Hopefully we'll have you do it live.
Karen, first of all, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. And I want to tell everyone that's listening that my conversation today is going to be from my heart. It's going to be straight to you. I spent my entire career in your seat doing what you're doing right now. Life has a lot of chapters. I spent 30 or 40 years in the accessories world, and I must say I love it. It gave me a tremendous, tremendous amount of happiness, a tremendous amount of anxiety. I've lived in your shoes. What I want to make clear today is that I don't want to talk at you. I want to talk with you. And the reason that I asked Karen to ask me to speak to you is that I'm interested in making a difference in your life and in your business. And both of those things I have lived through, and I'm really ready, Karen, to go into it whenever you are.
Okay, terrific. So, you started your company, you grew from a very small company to a big company. So what were some of the decisions that you made along the way that, helped shape the company, or, maybe things that you decided that you had to learn from? What?
So one of the things that that happened to me is I was a small company with 8 people, a small factory in Long Island City. I was basically a contractor. And that means I was manufacturing for people like Polo, Coach, Calvin Klein, and Liz Claiborne and others. And when you talk about making decisions, decisions are a very, very important part of how you survive in business and in life. And one of my biggest decisions was realizing that I could no longer be a contractor, because when I looked in the mirror and I was realistic with myself, the bottom line is I was not competing anymore with people from, at that time, Taiwan and China. And I realized that in order for me to grow my business, I had to make a tremendous change. And when I say a tremendous change, what I did is I went from a contractor to actually creating my own brand called Cipriani. And I actually went and competed with all of the people that I used to call my customers. It was a big, big sea change, and it really was the launch of my career. So that was one major change.
How did that impact your relationship with your customers? You know, you had those licenses, they were important partnerships. How did that work?
That's not how it happened. When I went into Cipriani, I had no licenses. So basically, I started my brand. I started from a hotel room on 39th Street. I could not afford a showroom. There I was. I started in the women's business because that made the most sense to me. And I created an identity that said, I am a young guy starting a company, give me a chance. From there, I built a reputation, and that reputation gave me the opportunity to meet Calvin Klein. I had previously contracted for Calvin, and you know, one of the big decisions was going and having the nerve to go to Calvin Klein as a small company and say to him, why not me? Why cannot I not be your licensee? Calvin gave me that opportunity, and a completely new chapter of my business opened up.
That's great. You know, as a fun aside, we're working on the second issue of our magazine, and we actually write a story about a company, a young guy who just took on a great big license because why not?
Yeah.
So there's a lesson there in, you know, don't ask, don't get, be a little bold, right?
So one of the things I want to tell everyone that's listening is, one of the things I used to say to myself all the time is, you know, I mean, I was a small little company, and basically I had no right to be standing in front of Calvin Klein at that time and saying to him, give me the opportunity. But what I am asking all of you to do is to not limit yourself. You know, life is and business is in a small chapters, and you need to utilize each day and realize that each day is very, very important. You know what, you talk about major decisions that have to be made. Unless you continue making major decisions, you're going to be lost. And what I mean by that is, as my business grew and I became not just a small company, so let's say I was doing maybe at that time $10 million a year. As the business grew, I realized that I no longer could manufacture the kinds of products that I needed to manufacture in my own facility. I wasn't really good enough. So I faced that fact, And if you ask about changes that I made a huge change in my company. And yes, was I nervous? Yes. Am I talking to you guys about something that's real? Yes. And what I did is I turned my factories into distribution centers. I closed them down and I picked myself up and I took a plane to China, to South America, and I started to import. And if you ask me, was that a sea change? It was unbelievable. So instead of being able to manufacture a small amount of merchandise, I now had the world at my fingertips, and it changed my company completely. The other piece that I want to talk to you guys about, and then we'll stop talking about me, is I realized early on that only so many people could buy belts, and I thought it was very limiting. So I started speaking to friends in the industry, and I started realizing that the divisionals of the belt industry have other categories. And I said to myself, you know what? I don't know anything about these categories. You know, I'm a belt guy, but I had better learn, because if I do not grow, I will die. So what I did is I started hiring experts in each area, meaning handbags, small leather goods, hats, gloves, and scarves. And then I utilized the reputation that I had built, and I expanded in those categories with all the brands that you mentioned, Karen, plus many, many more.
You know, going back, Evan, to how you looked at your company and made that major pivot, what are some skills that you might share with our group today on how do you know, I don't know. I'm so busy from day to day. I am bogged down in the weeds of it. Sometimes it's hard to step back and see the big picture. What are some tips and advice that you have to be able to reevaluate?
This is a really big deal. And what happened to me is there I was as a small company in the factory. Well, was that the best use of my time? Number one, I couldn't see a damn thing. Number two, it wasn't my core competency. So I was wasting my time in the factory. And when you have a factory, the problems are endless. Once I understood that this really was not our core competency. Our core competency was design. We were great designers, and we had a passion for that, and we had the best licenses in the industry. So what I started to do is I started to invest my time where I did best. So I hired people that could do things that were not my priorities. And on top of that, the idea of how you utilize your day is a very, very important thing. Each minute is very important. So what I started to do, you know, when you're a small company, it's kind of like everything is very casual and easygoing. When the company grows to 50 million or $100 million, that is not the same. What I created, what I'm asking you guys to think about doing, is I created weekly meetings. So I had a factory and distribution center. There were meetings there. There were organized meetings. People were held to understand what their responsibilities were. There were scribes at the meetings, and they knew what they had to do each week. The organization has to change, and that means that you have to change with it. You know, the casualness that you had, you have to reinvent yourself. Unless you reinvent yourself to grow, you're never going to grow. So did I become a little more corporate? Yes. Did I become a little more possibly clear as to what I needed people to do? Absolutely. Because if you do not do that, then the days go by and you do not achieve what you need to achieve. It's a very, very big deal. And many people get caught in this situation because of a lack of organization.
Great. So you make this pivot and you know, now you've got to kind of restart and regrow. What are some things that you did to grow to that business that was it at, I might be mistaken, but it became $100 million business.
Yeah, we finished at $150 million, and I'm proud to say a 20% EBITDA, which you can do when you're in the accessories business. The accessories really allows you the possibility of a great gross margin, and it's something that you guys should really think about. As a business owner, and something that I've lived with, the idea of building a morale. This is very, very important. This morale piece. Each year we had a company picnic, and we had the factory team against the New York team, and we had softball games, and it was very important. People love to come to work. And when no disrespect to the company I sold to, but it was a whole different ball game there. And I got to tell you, for those of you that are growing a company and that have a company, the most important thing is to really treat people like your family. That's what I did. I had people that started at 19 years old, and they had 3 kids with me. And that's what's beautiful. Christmas time, we had Christmas parties. We took over a club. And that's the way to build a company. You got to build it with heart and soul. And that comes from you, the leaders.
So, Evan, you managed your company through many difficult times. And, certainly the last year has had a lot of challenges that nobody could have foreseen. What do you think companies, and particularly small companies and startup companies, need to do today or can do today to really help be successful?
Okay, it's a great question. And, believe me, my goal for this talk is to speak straight to you guys and to tell you that business is very, very tough. Life is tough. So one way you can deal with it is to get frozen. The other way is to really seek help. Know what you don't know and have people help you. What I want to do, and if you guys looked at what I'm doing now, is what I want to do is I want to come to you in order to help you with the problems that you're having. And those problems could be endless. And those problems you may be embarrassed to speak to people about because they're just something that you just don't want to talk about, but I've been through it. And so the bottom line is I didn't have anybody necessarily helping me with a direction. And what wind up happening is, you struggle. And especially if you don't have a partner and you're by yourself and you have no one to speak to, it's very important to be able to speak to a mentor, to be able to say, you know what, look in the mirror, what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong? And like admit it to yourself and say, then what can I do about it? What can I do about it? Doing nothing is losing. Doing nothing is losing. You need to take an honest look at your business and realize that your businesses have strengths. Okay, let's look at them. They have weaknesses. Let's look at the weaknesses. There's opportunities for growth. Well, do you have the wherewithal to get to those opportunities, or how can you get to them? And what are the threats that you have today? What are you going up against? You know, the threats that I had in the 1980s and in 2000 were completely different. And unless you keep evolving, you're dead. You're really dead. So what I'm saying to all of you guys is you have to be proactive, not reactive. Reactive does not work. It just doesn't. You know, it's not easy to be in business. That's why 9 out of 10 businesses go out of business the first year. It is very difficult. And that's why many people cannot do it. So this is not an easy job that we have. And that's for everybody. So what I'm urging you guys to do is to listen to what I'm saying and take my advice and utilize what I'm saying to you, because at the end of the day, nothing stays the same. When I was starting, the largest companies in the men's industry basically controlled the entire industry. Each one of them did hundreds of millions of dollars. There were 3 companies that controlled the entire industry. None of those guys are in business anymore. End of conversation. They did not, you know, what happens is you say to yourself a whole bunch of things. You say to yourself, well, we did it like this last year. Why isn't it working this year? It's not working this year because it's this year. Last year was good for last year. You know, everybody in my company used to say to me, Evan, you always say to me, we're as good as our last collection. Well, guess what? We are as good as our last collection. And if you lose that, you're dead. This is a world where you have to be aggressive and you have to understand what you have and what you do not have. And what you do not have, can you get it? I know it's straight talk, Karen, but it's the truth.
So, okay, you know, it's one thing to say, you know, I know where my strengths and assets are. What are some resources that you have, or ideas, or places that you went to figure out what you needed to learn, or besides just hiring people? Because, you know, the bottom line is, Evan, a lot of small companies can't afford to hire. So, you know, and especially right now. So what are some other strategies and places that one might creatively go to find, you know, to help accentuate some of those needs?
I don't want to give you the wrong impression. You know, I did not hire people in order to fix everything. The bottom line is the owners of the company are the company, okay? And there is no doubt about it. So your intuition and the way you act is the entire company. The people that you might hire is just supplemental to who you are. The idea of branding and rebranding yourself. When I started my company, I'm just giving you an example, and you guys could utilize it the way you want. When I started my company, in my showroom, I had pictures of my factory because I was a young guy branding myself as an American factory, and that was my brand at that time. When I grew and I had Calvin Klein and Michael Kors and Guess and Nine West, guess what? I had a beautiful showroom with gorgeous murals up of Calvin and all of these people, because I branded myself as someone that was successful and that knew what they were doing. You need to look at yourself as a person. You need to brand yourself for where you are. You need to brand yourself for your people. You really do. You know, you may have been very nice with all of your people, but maybe that's not the right brand for you. And you really need to look at your business and say, is my brand correct for now? Is my customer base correct for now? You need to look at these things. And I could look at them with you. I would look at them with you and help you do that. But, you know, sometimes these, you know, you need help. And what I want to do in the next chapter of my life is to be able to help companies that are starting, that are lost, that need to grow, that need to reinvent themselves, because I've done it, and I've done it over and over again. And the ones that do not do it die. They just do.
So like, Evan, I know you mentor, what does what kind of help do you give companies? How does that work? What do you?
What I do is, and this is, I mean, I wish I had this when I was young and starting. I wish I had somebody that I could talk to. But what I would do with any of these people is I would speak to them about their business straight, meaning straight talk, and say to them, what's up? What's up? How is the business doing? What's not going well? What can we do about it? Are your people right? Is your product right? It's everything. So depending upon what they need, they would hire me. We would be together. I would be like their, let's call it their coach on the sidelines to help them where, it's good to get blunt point of view about your own business. Many people, including me, you fall in love with your business and, think it's so great. Well, it's not a bad idea to have someone look at your business that has been in business for all these years, to be able to say, what if you tried this? Or what if you tried that? What do you think about going to India instead of this? I imported all over the world. So yes, do I know the world market? Absolutely. Do I know branding? Yes. It's a question of really people's egos and saying to themselves, you know what? It wouldn't be bad to invest in someone like Evan, because the investment in Evan is going to pay off 10 times with the investment in my own company. That's what I think. And, I didn't do it for a long time. And I kind of struggled with this factory idea for like 10 years until I finally realized that I was going nowhere quick. I stayed at $5 million, $5 million. I mean, I'm saying that wasn't bad, but $5 million, $150 million, it's a very, very different world. And I could help them bring that world to them where they may not be exposed to it, because I've had that exposure, and I think it's very, very important.
For what it's worth, for everyone who's listening, I actually started to work with a business coach last year, and it has been an amazing gift, just to have an objective party kind of, look at your business and your, areas that you want to grow on. It's definitely been interesting.
No, because the core of business and why businesses are successful. It doesn't matter if you have an ice cream shop. It doesn't matter what you have. It's the same core idea about being able to look at the competition, being able to understand where you fit, and being able to reinvent yourself constantly in order to change with the times. There's a Generation Z, and people are growing up. They want different things. When I was in business, for example, it was a very, very important thing to have logos on merchandise. Okay. Now, because I was a professor at Marist College teaching fashion branding and licensing, the 20-year-olds and 22-year-olds that we're going after, they don't want to have Calvin Klein necessarily on their products or Michael Kors. What they want to have is their own point of view, and their own point of view comes from great quality and their point of view. So, nothing stays the same, and you guys have to be able to change with the times, period.
So, hey, we have Evan here, and we have a great group. So it might be a good time for you to, Evan, we're going to put you on the spot and have you do a little mentoring. If anyone has questions,
Yeah, guys, don't be
you know,
shy. Let's go.
them into the chat. You can email them to me. You can put them in the conversation. But I must believe that if you have a challenge, in your business, that other people have the same kind of challenge. So you can hold and start asking questions. I will tell you, for the Accessories Council, as a business, you know us, you come to our events, and we love that. But we also, we are a small not-for-profit, and we are running a business. I have to pay our team, and we have certain expenses to keep things going. So last year, just like everybody else, our world kind of came to, we hit a wall because our business model was built on events, and it was built on things that happened mainly in person. We had our ACE Awards, we had our business workshop. So, we've been working very hard to shift. I think we did a good job shifting all of our events to virtual, but
Well, I
something.
think you did a great job with the new online magazine. I think it's fantastic. And that's a perfect example of a reinvention. And it is top notch. It is better than ever. And I think the growth is going to come exponentially from it. I think you did a great job, Karen.
Well, you know what? That's a good example of us stepping back and re-examining. We went back to the mission of the council, which was created to help create consumer awareness. So that was an answer for us. It was a great opportunity to be able to help our members, to be able to, come up with a new revenue stream in the form of, the ads that are in the book. But, what we're learning too is that even those ads are helping to create awareness for our companies. So it's kind of been a win all around, but it was let me tell you, a mighty intimidating project. I've never put a magazine out before. Lena, who's on the call, she never sold advertising or had to work on a magazine before. We figured it out.
Guess what? It's very, very impressive. And for an entrepreneur like myself, and I know you a long time, I'm very proud of you. I think you did a great job. And when I saw it, I was like, wow. I mean, that is fantastic. The other thing I wanted to mention to everyone is that, when you look at business, I think it's very, very important to get to the nuts and bolts of business. That means overhead and cash flow. And that's something that we could look at also, because you've heard the expression, cash is king. That's the bottom line. You need to, like Karen was saying, you need to pay your bills. So I had that same challenge when I was growing. When you grow a company, your cash flow gets a little tighter. So you have to think about how you turn your inventory. You have to think about the number of people you have for your overhead. And these are the kind of things that I've lived with and I can help you with. Also in today's time, we talk about social media. Obviously, social media is a very, very important part of business today and life. So what is your strategy? Are you using the right social media for your particular product? It's very, very important. And if you're not knowledgeable in social media, well, you better get hip. You better get hip and learn it. The idea of utilizing influencers. Influencers have come that they've, over the last 10 years, they've been a very important part. They're now saturated. So how to use influencers, paying them the right way, utilizing them the right way in order to increase your product production.
Great. Well, we have a shy group, Evan. So what
Oh,
I'm
come on, guys.
Hi, Evan. I do have a question. Hello, Karen. Thank you all so much. And Evan, thank you. I'm Daniel. I'm here from Houston, and I'm very grateful for your guidance today. So I'm with a small company. Hello, with Jumper Maybach, and we're a sort of a fine art boutique, mission-oriented, anti-bullying company. We have aspirations to set up a foundation. Right now, we are in one of our first I guess significant business phases towards these things, and we've had to reinvent ourselves a number of times in the time that we have been around. And in terms of creativity, I certainly welcome some more information about these mentorships, but I was curious about what the general length of time was, and if you were comfortable emailing me, what the price of such a mentorship might be.
No, definitely. I mean, Karen, they have all my information, right?
You will make sure anybody who wants your information gets it, and I'm going to put your email into the chat box.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pop it in. So,
It's a shame, Karen,
what's that?
that more people aren't stepping up with questions. God.
You know what? Here's what I think. I think that, sometimes asking questions shows, vulnerability, or people are shy about asking questions. And we welcome them. And I know you welcome them if they want to ask you something privately. And I know you're willing to talk to people without, strings attached and long.
Absolutely. Yep.
I know you for such a long time.
Yes. Yes.
You can call Evan and ask questions without, having to sign up for a whole thing. So
yes, absolutely. I mean, this is not about, guys, just to be clear with you, I have had a great career, and I am very grateful for it. My big deal now is giving back to you, and whoever wants to utilize what I'm saying to you, please call me, email me, let's talk about it, because the biggest joy that I really derive is to help you guys win. I want you guys to grow, and that will make me very, very happy if I had a small part in it.
Hey, Christina, you have your hand up. Do you want to pop on and ask your question?
Sure. Hi, Evan. Thanks so much for today. I'm
Sure.
truly grateful for listening to you and hearing all of your journeys and becoming very successful. So I appreciate it. I think one of the things, so I have a small company. Its name is A Story. It's spelled ASTOURI, just so you know. And basically what we do is we take iconic city prints and we put them on like really feminine and functional clothing for women. So instead of t-shirts and hoodies, we're making beautiful apparel that women can really like stand and, sponsor where they live, where they're traveling to. One of the big things that we're going into is licensing deals. So how do we work with travel influencers? How do we work with artists? Because everything we talk about is community. So I want to work with a local muralist here in Detroit and put her stuff on my clothing. What is or a travel influencer that might be down in Bali. So you kind of get the drift. What is the best way? Like you did all licensing, and I'm assuming that it was all about royalties, or was it a percentage of sales? Because licensing is very hot right now. And I'm wondering how that all became a part of growth financially.
Well, the craziest thing about it is that licensing really, when Ralph Lauren started in 1963, he started the whole licensing boom, Pierre Cardin and when I was trying to grow my company, I'm not saying that Cipriani did not do well. It did well, but Calvin Klein, Cipriani, so what happened is you need to, and we can speak about this offline whenever you want, but we would need to really analyze who you want to go after. And what winds up happening is, so with Calvin or with any situation like that, you do your business, you create your product in tandem with the people that are your so-called licensor, okay? And you pay them a 7% royalty of your wholesale sales,
Okay.
to them for their territory or their product line. And is it worth it? Yeah. When I was manufacturing Michael Kors, when we were doing Michael Kors, in that it was Michael Kors, I was able to make a gross margin of double what Cipriani made, double.
Yeah.
And and that's exciting. We could really figure that out, and you can make a lot more money.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're looking at. I mean, even when you look at like just a travel influencer on social media, she's 2 million reach,
Yeah.
she is traveling, she's telling her story, she's authentic. I don't, I'm behind the company, not behind the company, I'm in front of the company as much as I can be, but she's doing all of that. And to me, I'm like, we can give you great products to travel with, and we can actually take your prints and put them on our products. Or we can figure
There's
out
so many
what is the
deals.
best way to deal
I'm
with it.
listening to you, and it's like all exciting because like I'm an entrepreneur guy, and like I love this stuff. And so we could talk to her. We could make a lot of deals with her. The whole thing is creating a win-win situation. She's going to be happy because she's going to be making more money. You're going to be making more money. And here we go. This is America.
Yeah.
This is what we do. No,
exactly.
I know. So that's the concept. Let's go.
Yeah, it's good to hear the numbers though. It's good to hear how those royalties are made, because I think I was thinking about it in a different way. So I really appreciate you giving me some.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You build it in anyway. It doesn't matter. You build it in, and what you wind up doing is making more money anyway. And the whole idea is being able to utilize your time for the best return on investment. That means you got this traveler lady, you got to go after her.
Yep.
You got to speak to her. You got to sell her that you are her partner.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how you win.
Yeah. Great words of wisdom. Thank you. I will definitely try to connect with you offline.
Yeah. I look forward to it.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Rachel, do you want to ask your question? Can you unmute yourself? You have your hand up.
Oh, Rochelle, is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rochelle.
It's okay.
Hey, Rochelle.
Hey, Evan. Really nice to see you. It's been a while, right?
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And it was great to see you and
Thank you.
hear you talk. Very inspiring. And learned a little bit more than I knew when I was working with you or for you.
Yeah.
So I own a private label accessory company, and we work with retailers and brands, mostly retailers. And my question is, during this really tough time when retailers are changing, they're either narrowing down their matrix or shifting into larger percentages of categories that are doing better during this time. It's tough to approach new customers. And so what would your advice be, given the current environment, to keep trying to grow and add customers? Because it's been a little bit difficult during this time when it wasn't prior.
Well, this is a great question. And, let me tell you, if you and I were speaking offline, I'd be ripping into you with about 50 different questions about your company, knowing exactly, what's so good about you. Like, what is so good about you. And then what I would want to do is give my advice to you based upon what I know about you, what I know about your product, what I know about where you fit and how you fit and how do you make your sales. And you know what I mean? That's what I talk about with the honesty thing, you know, I mean, and that's what I'd love to do if you want to, you know, I mean, I'd love to talk to you about it, but I don't want to answer you like that because I really like to, because it's not an answer like that. I want to be very specific so it's not bullshit. So it's something that will make a difference to you. I don't want to say something that won't make a difference. I'm into making a difference, not just saying stuff. I think you know me like that anyway.
Yeah. Hey, I can appreciate that.
We have Evan's email in the chat, so you could connect to get ripped. Deborah, you wanna ask your question?
Yes, but I'm going to apologize for not putting myself live. I tried to fix this and I still haven't figured it out. So I want to go back to licensing because that's where, you know, my head is right now to grow my line. I have a real vision, work with female artists and get them on my products. So I've been trying to get female tattoo artists to create a piece of artwork for me, and none of them are responding. So what's your pitch? You know, because it's like, you know, I don't know, is it, what do I offer up front? What do I say up front? Because I'm really not experienced with licensing. You know, how do I approach someone to make them want to partner with me?
You know, when I was with Calvin and I asked him to partner with me, what I said to him, and you know, it depends upon the situation, but you know, you have to remember, you're selling yourself to them. They need to buy you, right? Like Calvin had to buy me, had to buy into the reality. You know, you need to say to them, listen, I have a very great established business. Here's an opportunity for both of us to make a tremendous amount of money. I'd like to speak to you about it, and let's create a win-win situation for both of us. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does, because I haven't been approaching it like on the financial. And I think just saying, you know, have an opportunity for both of us to make money, I think maybe we'll get a better response.
No, I mean, you know, listen, you gotta say that. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, people don't want to waste their time. So let's not waste our time. I don't want to waste my time. You don't want to waste your time. Let's make money together. I can help you make more money.
Hey, Deborah, just a thought, you know, a tattoo artist, any artist, all they have is their time to create. So, and you know, you can only do so many tattoos in the course of a day. So you're giving her an opportunity or them an opportunity to have a revenue stream, you know, passive income that they would never be able to have and build their brand and reputation. So it's a fun idea. But anybody who's licensing, you know, I think the approach is, you know, we all have 24 hours in the day, and wouldn't it be nice to be able to, you know, make money with the extra money doing, you know, just giving their talent away. So I think it's fun.
Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you.
You know, Karen, I just want to say that I hope, you know, I don't know how many people joined in, but, you know, this has been a very exciting experience for me because I really feel more than ever, I'm helping a whole bunch of people now. And I really feel that especially small companies and entrepreneurs that need some advice, I could really help. And I hope that people take me up on it.
I have no doubt that many will. And, you know, we recorded the session. We'll share it with everyone. And like I said, I know you're happy to answer questions.
Yeah,
Just, reach out. You
definitely.
always have been. So for the team who's on, we have, if you're up for more mentoring, go to Instagram Live, because we have our Accessory Innovation Committee interview starting at noon. If you're working in anything soft, textiles, scarves, could be anything from apparel, robes, or even home items, reach out to either Lena or myself. We have an amazing sourcing event that we're going to be working on, and can introduce you to some great factory options. And then we have a number of events coming up in the next couple of weeks. So check out our Monday newsletter, and we'll look forward to seeing you all soon.
Karen, thank you so much for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
Evan. I
Great
appreciate
to see you.
your time. Nice to see you. And
Okay.
everybody have a great Wednesday.
Have a good day, guys.